right, guys, we're live on Facebook. Welcome. I'm Steve Richards with the CEO Nation. Glad to have you guys here for another Monday training coaching webinar. All right, today we're going to talk about, are you really happy with your business? Is your business really working, or are you just working? And I just got back from a mastermind event in Miami. So not only am I a little tired because of the brain fog that comes with spending the weekend in Miami, but just got reinvigorated being around a bunch of other folks. And it was an interesting, some super high level guys doing some really, really big things, especially some big commercial guys. And it was interesting talking about what happens when your business starts actually flowing and going, and how there's this weird letdown of not being happy and you kind of get resentful. And we thought that'd be a good thing to cover today. So I want to make sure you guys interactive. Drop any questions you've got in the chat, and let me know as we're going through this topic. I want to make it interactive. So if you guys got any questions or comments or anything along the way, definitely drop that in there. First, as always, if you're watching this on Facebook later, this is a recording of a live Monday Zoom we do at 3:30 live every Monday. You can, somewhere on this page, you can register, or you can go to the ceonation.com/links, LINKS. I think Bobby's on here and he'll drop that in the chat here in a second, but you can go there and you can register for this. You can get access to our podcast episodes, our KPI guide, different free trainings, things like that. And all that is at the CEO Nation, theCEONation.com/links. And then you can email Bobby at support@theCEONation.com if you guys got any questions or want to talk to him. So that is a catch-all place to get access, link to the Facebook group, to get access to this, set up a strategy call with us if you're interested in working more closely with us, any of that kind of stuff. So to today's topic, though, it's an interesting thing, because sometimes I talk about things on here that are more directed towards people at certain phases in their business, but this actually bridges the entire spectrum of business, if you're happy or not. And many times we start by being so unhappy with a current position that we're in, that we see anything else as being better, and we mistake something that's better than where we are for being good. So I'm going to say that over again, because it's a really important piece of what we're talking about today. So many of us don't understand what we really want. We don't really know what would make us happy, but we know what we don't like. And a lot of us start from trying to get away from something we don't like. So we're running away from something instead of running towards something. And what tends to happen there is, at some point you've gotten far enough away from where you were, and you look up and you think like, well, this is better than where I was. So that was the goal, because the goal was never, I'm going to run to that exact location over there. And you run towards it. What you do is run away from something, and you look up, and it's kind of just dumb luck if you ran in the right direction. Now, most of us are smart enough, and I'm seeing most of you guys are familiar faces that are on today. I actually, almost all of you guys I've talked to personally or worked with you personally, or your friends. But I know that you guys are smart enough to probably run in the right general direction. So it's not like you're going to run backwards when you're trying to actually, go forward. It's more like I meant to go here, and I kind of ran over here, and you look up one day and you're like, this isn't exactly what I wanted. I mean, I thought I wanted this. In general, I kind of got what I wanted, but this isn't making me happy. And so it's like an afterthought, which, if any of you guys have been through our 4 pillars of freedom stuff, it's funny because it's actually the 4th pillar that we cover when we talk about alignment, making sure your business is aligned, because it kind of has to come later, because there's so much like setup and building your team and your operations. There's so many things. Like, I wish it wouldn't be this way, but very infrequently does someone say like, this is exactly what I want, and they set out to build it. They may say, I want this business that flips X amount of homes, or I want this consulting practice that teaches somebody this one thing, or whatever it may be, or I want to create an Amazon store that generates some kind of monthly reoccurring revenue for me or whatever the case may be. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, that's not the stuff that makes you happy. So money is never the thing. So this is the first thing to write down if you guys are tracking today. The money, the success piece of the business part is never the thing, which is mostly people look at the money, right? So money's not the thing that you're after, and it's never the problem. So if you're in your business and you're thinking, man, I just need a loan, I just need to make one more sale, I need to close a few more deals or whatever the case is, just because I just need some more money and that'll fix things. That's a huge red flag if you're going through something like that. And so money's never causing the problem, and money's also rarely the solution to a problem. Money's a tool that allows you to lever things. A lack of money could be a symptom of a problem. Using money could be part of a plan to engage a solution, right? And money for what you personally want, the thing that you're after, might be partly what you need. And time, by the way, it's usually authority, time, and money are the three things you need to invest into getting what you want out of life. And so money is a part of those things, but it's never the thing that you're after, or shouldn't be. If it is, you're going to be left upset and frustrated. It's never the problem. It's never the solution. I want that to be, write that down. I want you guys to really think about that. And so with that in kind of covered, let's go back to what I said. So regarding happiness and your business and where things are headed, a lot of the problem is that people are focused on that business part, which kind of ends up being about the money. And when I said that people don't know what they're setting out to get, it's not that they don't know what kind of business they want to run or what they want the activity in their business to look like. It's that they don't properly define the result of that business success. So it's not like I want to make a certain amount of money. It's I want to work a certain amount of hours at a certain time of the day. And number one. And number two is I want to be compensated with the return on my business, not just what I pay myself, but also the return, the profit margin, the back end return on my business. And once your basic needs are taken care of, like another thing that will happen if you guys aren't there, which most of you guys are, you start to have this issue with you want your time to be fulfilling. And so the time you do spend in the business, you want to be fulfilling. I don't want to get too deep to purpose today, but like that's where we'll all end up. Is you want your time to be purposeful, and you want to matter, and you want to provide value. And so in the beginning, you're more interested in doing whatever you got to do to get it rolling, and you'll do other things that later you'll pay other people to do. But I'm talking about as your business progresses, you figure out like where your best unique ability is, and also what value you want to bring to the world, and what what benefit you want to provide to the people that you're spending your time in the business with. Are you coaching people, mentoring? Are you talking to clients? Are you doing the bookkeeping? I mean, whatever your thing is and how you want to spend your time, because it feels like it's your unique ability, by the way, which is the unique ability is something you're good at and you like. And so the combination of that is like rocket fuel. When you're spending your time doing something you're good at that you like, that's when time like flies by, and people tell you, man, you should do it. You should do this for other people, or you should do this, this should be your job, because they see how happy you are and they know how good you're at it, and time flies. And by the way, you get energy. So when you work, when you're in your unique ability, you get energy. It physically gives you energy in your body, mental energy, physical energy, emotional energy, because you're getting charged up and amped up. Versus when you're working in something that doesn't fit well with who you are, it starts to steal your time, your energy. It takes away your mental, physical, and emotional energy. And so when you work outside of the areas that are your unique ability, so things you don't like and you're not good at, or something you like and you're not good at, or something you don't like but you are good at and you feel frustrated because you're the only one that can do it and you don't want to do it but you're good at it, that saps your energy too. It saps your mental energy, your emotional energy, because you're kind of mad that you have to spend your time doing this, and you think nobody else can do this as good as me, which is extremely conceited, by the way. It's hubris. Like, to think that you're the only person in the world that can do something as good as you do is like absolutely insane. And by the way, I can say that to you guys without feeling bad because I've used to feel that way. I'm just a recovering perfectionist and control freak who never seems like that's how it really is, but I kind of am. I feel like, man, why do I have to think of this stuff? Why doesn't this is obvious to me? Or hey, comes naturally to me. Well, it's because there's things that you're good at. But when you don't like them, it still drains you. So when you're good at something and you like it, it gives you energy. And so this all ties in together what I've been saying of like understanding your position. When you get into a position where you're in your unique ability and it's giving you energy, not only are you giving more bang for the buck to the business when you're spending time in it because you're making a big valuable impact, but you're keeping your batteries charged and you're keeping your interest level high, which is what you need for creativity. Because when your batteries are sapped and your interest is waning, or you're thinking like, man, I'm going to start this other business, or I got to bring another revenue stream on because this one's not working the way that I wanted, and you start getting distracted and your creativity slows down, there's more on your mind, or you're frustrated, or bills are mounting, or payroll's like staring you down and you don't know how you're going to make payroll. So you just fret and you go down a path of like almost sticking your head in the sand, which none of us really do, but kind of in a way, when you don't step up and just knock things out that you kind of get stuck on the things that are bothering you. It's because you're in this position that's kind of sucking you into where the business is sapping your energy and you lose your creative power, your creative genius. And so that goes hand in hand with knowing what you want out of the business, which is the time, money, and authority. And the only reason you would know what that is, those are just a simple math equation of what you need to go live the life you want to live. Do you want your kids to go to a certain school? Do you want to live in a certain neighborhood? Do you want to eat certain food? Do you want certain hours of the day off so you can work out or sleep in? Or do you want to volunteer your time? How much money do you want to give to your church? What do you do with your family? Do you help your neighbors? Do you volunteer on boards in your city or at the church or at the school or like whatever, right? So do you play sports on the side? So all these things are what you need to figure out how you want to spend your time. So saying that my family is my big why is not good enough. It's not deep enough. And so you've got to get another layer deeper and say, well, if my why is my family, what does that mean? How much time do you want to spend with them and why? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? How long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? Right? And what's the benefit you want out of it for you and your family? And then you got to figure out how to create a business that gives you the time and money to go do that stuff. And it doesn't like happen like a switch, right? And part of doing that is understanding what you're good at and what you like and knowing how to set your business up, right? And then part of that is also understanding that the tie between those two things is this whole money is not the thing. It's not the thing. It's not the solution. It's not the problem. It's just part of everything that's going on. It's more like a tool, right? It's one that we use too often. By the way, it's like a hammer. So every time you throw money at a personnel problem, like you just hire more people because the ones you got aren't working out, or you pay somebody to fix a problem instead of paying someone to figure out what caused or allowed that to happen and fix that. You just fix the problem, so it's going to happen again, basically. Or when you invest in someone who's not doing a good job, which is hire more people because the ones you got aren't working out correctly, all you're doing is magnifying the problem, because money is a magnifier. And so when you give, you've heard this before probably, but money just magnifies somebody's personality. When you get some of it, it makes you more of who you are. It doesn't make you who you are. It's the same in your business. When you put money on something, it magnifies it. So if you throw money at a problem, your problem usually gets bigger, which is why I said money is never the solution. Throwing money at something is usually going to make it worse. Makes it go away for a while and you feel really good. But it's like an addict. You get your fix and then you feel good for a little while and then it circles back around, right? And it's some kind of like cycle that gets worse and worse. And every time it comes back around, it's worse. And so if understanding this about money and knowing that it's not the thing, the problem, or the solution, and what really is important is knowing who you want to be and how you want to show up and the money, time, and authority you need out of your business, then now we've got this positioning, right, to go back into the business and set the business up correctly. And now it gets into like, well, what systems and processes need to be put in place for this, and who's going to do it? Am I good at it? Do I like it? Do I want to do it? Is it part of my purpose? Should I hire somebody? And if I hire somebody, how do I invest in that person to make sure that it's profitable for me to hire them? If I'm spending 50 grand on an employee, I got to make sure I'm getting somewhere between 150 to $500,000 back on the bottom line. So somewhere in the 3 to 10x. It's probably going to be more like 5, give or take 5x. Same with marketing. If I put $1 into the marketing machine, I'm most businesses, and most of you guys that are on here, well, there's a few more on, hold on. But yeah, most of you guys are in a business. Most of you guys are in real estate like usual. And you guys need to be getting, if you're not getting, 3 to 5, I know it's a tougher market right now, especially maybe with direct mail, but our direct mail is crazy, double-digit returns. We just can't get enough. We just can't saturate it enough, right? So volume's down, but profitability is high. And so we're really close to an overall 10x on our marketing. We will be there based on projections as we finish the 6 months here, the first 6 months of the year. We'll have almost a 10x. Actually, we'll probably be over a 10x return. There's a couple of huge deals kind of hanging that will affect it. But either way, the worst case, it falls back to an 8-to-1. So, and by the way, a bunch of the leads that got generated will become deals later. So it's only going to get better. But in your marketing, if you're looking for a certain X return, it's the same with your people. And all that's based on who am I hiring, because I don't want to do these things, or I can't do these things very well. And what kind of return do I need? Because based on how much money's coming in, how much am I willing to give up? Because I need to maintain a certain profitability for me, because it's all based around this whole thing being an asset for you. And the business needs to work for you instead of you working for it. Now, you will work for it at different levels, and that will change. You'll actually do less of the things, but be responsible for more as you progress, as you go from doing everything to managing things. That's a hard jump, but the harder jump is going to leading everybody, because now when you're the absolute leader, you're completely responsible for everything ultimately getting done, but you're doing none of it, and you're not even managing the people that are doing it. And so when you get to that level, it becomes really hard. I see that in the real estate business we have, because I am some, but I'm absent from many conversations where someone else is helping someone else figure out how to get something done, where, from a control freak perspective, like I told you guys, I know that I could go pick the phone up, and it's something I've done hundreds of times or thousands of times, depending. Gosh, I don't know how many houses I've looked at and how many, I know how many deals we've done, but the amount of houses we looked at and sellers we've talked to, and I personally, it's in the thousands and thousands of taking that call to get to a bottom of a client's needs and try to create a win-win solution and pitching an offer, because we only close, a percentage of all the people we talk to. And so if you think about that, some of you guys have been in the game for a while that are on here today on the real estate side, and you know what I'm talking about, where it just comes inherently. It comes inherently to us to do certain things, but later it's like the telephone game. So if we're talking to someone who's a manager, and that manager's talking to someone on the front line, it's really hard to be ultimately accountable for all that in the leadership position and really affect what's happening on the front lines. And so as the business grows, it's new problems. And as you progress out of it, that's why you have to be so clear on what you're getting out of the business and what your profitability and your business model and how your team is set up. And so much of that is what drives today. What I wanted to cover is back to, are you happy with your business? And I would say that if we're ultimately, I don't know anyone who's 100% happy with their business, quite frankly. Very few. Even a couple of guys right now that are getting one guy I work with and a couple of guys I know really well are at the same time where they're exiting. So they're having 8-figure exits in their business. And even then they're frustrated with the idea that they're giving their business away. They're having a huge exit. It's a big event, it's a big income event, but they're also still conflicted because it got to the point where they had to sell it now. And it made more sense to do that. But now they're losing this thing that's throwing cash off after they got it built. And they're thinking, now I got to take this money and put it somewhere that makes me more money. And I kind of got to go do it all over again. What's the point? So it's so interesting to me that we go through these cycles of like people are dying to get it started, and then they're dying to quit their day job, and then they're dying to, quit their day job to work in the business. And then the next thing they figure out is they're dying to get out of that business, even though they just worked really hard to get into it. And even later, there's always this weird, like, the business is never perfect. And so here's the big difference is that when you set it up correctly, not most things aren't always perfect. There's always problems, and sometimes you have more problems than others. But the reality is, if you set things up correctly and you have better planning, and you have more accurate estimating, and then you have a better understanding of how the business works, and you have a really good goal of what you want, and you're setting things up to try to be aligned, even though it won't always work out perfectly, you're controlling the kind of problems you have based on controlling the things that you're doing with your time. So the things you do, and the things you think about, the stuff you spend your money on, and the things that you spend your time doing, all are what drives the problems you have in life. I mean, think about that. So that's with every single human being, by the way. What you spend your time thinking about, what you spend your time doing, and what you spend your money on. So show me your calendar, your internet browsing history, and your checkbook, and I'll probably tell you what kind of problems you have in your life, almost to a T, right? And so the more control we have over our planning, the more control we have over what problems we're dealing with. And then when we get to choose the problems we have, it's not as painful to work on the solutions, because typically those are making something better. And when we solve that problem, if we do it correctly, it's making the business better. And that's where we're perfecting our model. We're kind of building a machine, right? And so every problem is an opportunity to tweak the machine a little bit, so that if we look at what happened and figure out what caused or allowed it, and we go back to the source and we fix it, and we make the machine a little better, we're getting closer to being happy if the machine is set up to give us happiness. But if it's just set up to get us away from something, because we just want to get away from a situation we're in here, we're going to probably look up to it someday and not be really happy with where we are. I doubt, again, you guys are all really smart, so I don't think you're going to be like, wake up one day and not recognize where you are. But it could kind of happen, because if you're just chasing deals and chasing clients, and one opportunity leads to another, and you kind of have a rudderless ship, there will be a time where you wake up and you're like, man, I have 3 different business units or 2 different businesses, and I got a hodgepodge of employees, and I really, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, and this isn't really what I wanted. And now I've got problems that are happening that aren't what I want to deal with, because fixing these is just making problems go away. It's not making the machine better, because I'm not controlling the problems I have. And so as we look at what our business can do to make us happy, and are we really happy with the business, that whole question starts with, what do you want? Which is kind of funny, because it's kind of every relationship. When you're hiring someone, when you're working with a vendor, when you're working with a client, like I said, a lot of you guys are in real estate. So when you're working with a seller or buyer, when you're hiring a vendor, contractor, whatever, like trying to understand what people want in your life and in these relationships is what makes them tick. And I think you guys would all agree that, creating win-win solutions in relationships and all this stuff is important. But how often do you look at the relationship with yourself and think about creating a win-win relationship? Like, how do I have a win-win with myself? Because I really get honest about what I want and need and wish for, and figure out a way to get there. We do it with other people all the time, our spouse and our kids and our employees, and our clients. We do that all the time, but we rarely take the time to really understand what we need and want. And we have to be happy and successful with this business, or it will cease to exist, or it will exist poorly and will limit the value that we're bringing to the world. And we won't be happy, and that'll stymie our creativity, like I said, and it sucks our energy, and then we're not helping as many people. We don't grow the company. We have less employees that over time that are happy. We have less clients that we help. And the whole idea of trying to become happy in your business starts with understanding exactly what you want and being very clear on that, and then looking about where you are so you can create a plan to reverse engineer from where you want to end up back to where you are now, and how can your business fund that along the way, right? And so we didn't talk a lot today about the business aspects of things. This has been more about like your brain and personal development, and how you can process this. but it has a lot to do with the mechanics of you becoming happy and successful. And by the way, this is many of you guys on here, I already know that you're kind of in this realm where you've learned this already. But the funny thing about happiness is success usually comes after. And I think a lot of people think that it comes first, that you become successful, which makes you happy. And it's not the case. You become fully accountable for who you are and what you're doing. What you think about, what you spend your time doing, what you spend your money on, right? At that time, you have more control over things. You learn to be content, which is not the same as satisfied. I'm content with where I am, which is right where you deserve to be based on an accumulation of choices that were made in your life. If I'm not satisfied of ending up later where I am now, I get that. That's fine. That's different than content. Being discontent is just being unsettled with where you are. And a lot of us get that place with our business, and it gives us that unsettled feeling. So you've got to become content and take accountability that I'm right where I deserve to be, but that's okay that I'm not satisfied with staying here. I want more, but that contentment breeds accountability, and accountability is what gives you more of the control. And the control is when you step back into business, get clear about what you want, get clear about where you are, get clear about who's doing what in your life and in the business, what you like and you're good at and you don't like and you're not good at, and who's doing what. And you can start putting these pieces in place. And now that you've taken this accountability and control proactively, you're starting to control the problems that you'll have in your life. And those problems, when you solve them, typically create a ripple effect of improving other things, instead of just knocking one problem down to run into the next, or fixing one problem just for it to reoccur and happen again because you didn't fix the source. And all of this relates back to being happy in your business. And I'm going to do some Q&A for a minute. And I want to tell you guys, I'm doing a webinar that we've been planning on, some information that we were trying to do in this Monday, but it just kind of got too big. I think I told you guys last week about it. It's going to be July 8th. Wait for it. July 8th, 9:00 p.m. I'm going to do a webinar, but we're going to break down some of it's pretty heavy into like how to invest properly in people and marketing your business for scalability. But it's kind of an update, especially after the last year and a half or a little over a year of COVID, and seeing our businesses through that and coaching other people through that, and kind of what's working now and what we're learning about, why some people can scale and be happy and successful and why other people aren't. So I'll give you guys a little more detail on that here. Bobby, if you're hanging, if you want to put that registration link out, feel free to do that. But one thing I want to say to wrap up this thought, if you guys have questions, please put them in, or tell me if you're happy in your business or not. I want to get some feedback from you guys. Or if you know what's not keeping you happy, or if you guys have a comment on something I said in the last 40 minutes that resonated, I'd love to hear it. But your business is an asset that should work for you, just like buying any other asset class, whether it's a rental property or gold or silver or crypto, or sitting on cash, which I hope you're not sitting on cash, especially given inflationary things that are going on right now. Hold on, guys, something's off on my computer here. You're just losing your money if you are sitting on your cash, but that's for another day. You have to understand that this is just another asset that you own. And we invest in assets to give us a return and to protect us from things and to give us certain levels of security or certain kind of benefits, right? And so it takes some kind of sacrifice. Usually you'd spend money, but you might spend time researching, right, an asset before you buy it. Or you might have certain assets like a rental property that you need to take care of. Or you might invest in a car, which usually is a depreciable asset, but sometimes you might invest in something like that that's a collectible, and you got to maintain it. And there's things you have to do. It's not just all money. Sometimes it's time, and other times it's knowledge and experience to make sure that you can take care of that asset. But that asset, the only reason we do it is because it gives us some kind of benefit. And your business is no different. It should be providing you benefits. And in my opinion, after 23 years of being in the business world, I think it's time, money, and influence or authority. I think those are the three resources that are most important that you should be getting out of it. And the benefit of those three resources, if you are thinking in a positive, highly, if you have a high values, I think what you'll find is that you can be more in your purpose in the world, irregardless of what business vertical you're in. So before I said that it's funny that the fourth pillar of the things that we teach is alignment between your personal life and your business, but it's because you got to get your model set up, and then you got to figure out who, how, when to hire, and then you got to create an operations, cadence model to run the team, and the team runs the system, and they got to kind of happen in that order. But the reason we don't jump to the fourth is two reasons. One is you don't have context to even understand, and most people aren't ready for that. And the second thing is it doesn't really matter. You can, once you get the time and money and influence or authority out of your business, you can go back and figure out how to put your purpose in the world, even if your business is just giving you the time and money to go invest in a charity or put your time elsewhere. But the business, the vertical that you're in, the market that you're in, doesn't actually matter that much about you having personal alignment in your life. Any business, for the most part, that's worth building, if it's profitable and repeatable and consistent, all those things done right, can probably serve you, where you build it up and sell it and get the cash and do something else, or worst case is you spend a bunch of time building this business. It's not really sellable, but it gives you some money, but you learn a whole bunch about people and marketing and all these other things. And that allows you, that knowledge and experience allows you to go do the next thing. So either way, this asset will position you, but you got to figure the front end of this out to get it working so that you can get to that personal alignment piece. All right. It's a lot of talking. I know I started a little late today. Like I said, I'm a little foggy after Miami. Bobby put the link in if you guys want to check that out. It's going to be at 9 on July 8th on Thursday. And so we got a cool giveaway that we're going to do as well. Like a homework sheet that will come out of that. It's just some things that we've learned that have helped other business owners. And we'll be doing that here in like a week and a half. I'm here every Monday to do this for you guys. Like I said, at 3:30 Eastern. We've got our Facebook group that you can always comment on this replay later. And you can go to theCEONation.com/links if you guys want to connect with us in any way. So I've got 10 minutes here if anybody's got any questions that they want to ask. It'd be cool to see if anybody's awake here. Just kidding. Let me hear some stuff that helped you guys or questions. All right, cool. Jim said, yeah, I understand all this, but sometimes it's hard in practice to figure out how to apply it, and I can't see the forest through the trees. Yep, man, that's good. So that's a really common place, and I'll tell you, you do. And actually, that's exactly what I was just talking about, where you kind of got to get lost in the process. You got to get lost in the journey while you're building the model and perfecting, what's your pricing structure? What's your value proposition to the world? What metrics move the needle? What activities drive what results? As you're learning in the business, you kind of got to get lost in the forest and just look at the trees, right? Because as long as you're heading in the general direction at that point in time, there's so much learning occurring that it's really important to kind of trust the process and enjoy the journey, all those cliche things. And then as the team starts to round out, and then you get a little breathing room when you put an operations model in place to run a team, as you get a few people on your team, what's important is that you have this weekly, you guys have heard me say this before, weekly checkpoint. So you need one with your team and you need one with your ownership or partners or yourself. And every week at the same day and same time, you have the same agenda, and you go through, what matters and what's important and what did you think was going to happen last week and what really happened and why. And then you adjust your plan, and then you also gauge where you at in the month, given what you hoped, and how are you tracking, and what is that? And then generally based on what's happening right now, where's our quarter at? And so on these weekly meetings, you don't get too much into the quarter and monthly stuff, just a little bit, just gauging, are we way off? Are we on? But it's more about the week to week. So daily, I'm tracking all my metrics and results in different softwares or QuickBooks and systems and CRMs, and where guys are sending reports, or girls and whatever. But I'm crunching those numbers weekly where I can say, this is all the activity that we thought would drive a certain set of results last week, and what really happened compared to what we had hoped was going to happen. And then we make some, fair adjustments based on that. And then we go to battle again the next week, and we keep making tweaks. And every week we're kind of honing more and more in. And so just make sure in the beginning that you don't get too worried about seeing the forest through the trees. But once you start making consistent money and you start hiring people, that's when the cadence of this planning, this weekly actual versus goal, like double checking and tweaking, it becomes absolutely crucial. That's the main thing, where you come up for air and you force yourself to look at the forest 1 week, and then you make your adjustments and you put your head down, and everybody goes back to battle, and you do it again. And knowing that next week you'll have another checkpoint. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, cool. Yeah, right on, man. Yep, thanks. Okay, this was good. Okay. All right, see a couple highs in here, but no other questions. Anybody got any last minute questions? Well, listen, I hope this was helpful. If there's anything that we can do to help, I'd love to have you guys on this webinar on Thursday the 8th. I think it'll be good. I'm just going to I'll have a presentation with it. I'll have a little more time. It's kind of a culmination. All these Mondays have been like spotty niche things together, but this will be kind of a bigger culmination of just hopefully a really good help for you guys that are trying to invest in marketing and people and scale a business, get a business off the ground, and get yourself pulled out of the day to day, and kind of how can you move forward, kind of mixed in with like what's been working now and what am I seeing with people. So that'd be exciting on the 8th. There's a registration page for it. But other than that, if there's anything we can do, you know how to get a hold of us. Hit up Bobby at support@the CEO Nation, or a lot of you guys have my contact info. Just hit me up personally. I'm here to help. I want to engage. I want to create an impact. And we've tried to set mechanisms up to do that. I hope this Monday is helpful for you guys. It was good seeing everybody. If you have any ideas on topics for future meetings, that'd be super cool to hear from you. Just send them to Bobby. And with that, if we don't talk before then, I'll see you guys next Monday. Take care.